All right, we're going to end the evening with a little nightcap, and I don't know, like I don't drink alcohol. I know it looks like I drink a lot of alcohol. I really drink like so little alcohol, but I do like that end of night, just something strong, just to sort of. And I really want to sing the praises, and not that I need to, because it's loved by lots of people, of this ugly looking bottle. And once it's one of those things that once you taste it and fall in love with this rum, then the ugliness of the bottle is the charm of it, because it is the most rough and rowdy rum. It's not trying to be anything else. It's an amazing Jamaican overproof white rum. And I think white rums is something that's been one of the revelations of mine over the last year. It's just like how amazing white rums are, because I always sort of associated them with being cheap and crappy and like, you know, mixers and stuff. And yeah, they can be used for mixers, and rum is an amazing spirit for mixing. But like, you know, crappy kind of cocktails. But the white rums, the flavor you get, it's, I don't know, it's the equivalent of like, you know, in the tea world of like rediscovering raw puer or something. It's this, the rawness of it. It's that you can so taste the land and the complexity in it, because it's not been rounded and mellowed so much by cask aging. And it's just so bright. And so you can get amazing white rums, amazing ones. But this rum fire, and I can't remember the process, but it goes through a process to really increase the amount of terps in there, the amount of, like, you know, what's the equivalent? It's not terps. In the rum world, it's different. I'm not going to remember. You've got the marks. You've got esters. So it builds up the esters, and there's loads of amazing ones. But rum fire, just for me, is like I can't not have rum fire in my cupboard. Like, once this gets to about this point, I will buy another one. It's the only alcohol in my cupboard that I will make sure, because I just can't get enough of that smell. I said in another video that I'm allergic to banana. This is like, it's like banana rubber. Banana and rubber, and like sweet pineapples, slightly fermented overripe pineapples. It's got a funk to it. It's got a real like fermented fruit funk, sticky, and then the sugariness. And the sugariness is again like, it's almost like the sugars have been like the sugar cane has just been like beaten down with like loads of mushed fruits like pineapples and bananas, and then boiled down and become sticky, and then they chuck that in some water to then make it like, to distill that, I mean, or to turn that into alcohol. It's the most amazing smell, and just a few little, like half a shot in a cocktail, and you just taste it. It's just like, it's got such a oneness of character. It is unbelievable. Oh, I'm running out of memory card space. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a taste test between this and another high-ester rum, and we're going to see the difference. That one's completely different. It's not white rum. It's from. Oh, you see, I'm really not doing a good job here, because I can't really remember where all these things are from, and if I had planned it, that I could have done, but I'm not. It's a Demerara rum from, where's El Dorado from? Come on, help me, people, you know. Oh. Ester blend contains blah, 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 blah. Yeah, where's it from? Guyana? Guyana? No. Guyana. Okay. Right. Anyway, so El Dorado, high-ester. So designed to increase those esters. Let's give them a quick taste. Just a little, just for me, it's just a little, and this is strong, right? This is 63% by volume, so what, that's 126 proof. We'll try this one, which is cast aged Demerara. I don't know what that is in terms of the sugarcane. And this is 57%, so slightly on the lighter end. Let's go rum fire first. Cheers, everybody. Oh, I mean, just the most amazing, aggressive, fruity little number. Now, this is not a sipping rum. It's a 63% volume, you know, designed for mixing. And when you mix it, it's just amazing. But I love sipping it anyway, just to get that hit. Oh my God, my tongue is just coated with the most amazing, like, yeah, rubber. I'd see rubber plantations next to just like the most dense pineapple and banana, you know, and sugarcane fields, and just like somehow mash that all together in like a terroir and then distill it. It's just straight up landscape. I can see it. It's like traveling without traveling. And it's so vaporous. Oh, and it's so fiery. Beautiful. And it makes my mouth just like fizz out with saliva. Slight saline quality as well to it. Wow. We're so blessed that we can taste these things. My gosh. How lucky are we? All right. That was rum fire. Now, as I put the camera down a little bit so you can see a little bit more of my space, I went from a little bit French to a little bit something else. Okay, here we go. Now you got this El Dorado high-ester blend. So this is their attempt to make something that's just bursting with esters. El Dorados, I love El Dorados. I usually get the very old El Dorados, right? The oldest you can afford. Amazing sipping rums. Just like, I think it was the first rum that like got me like so obsessed with rums ages ago. This, that straight up, oh my gosh, it's just like a dessert in a cup, but not in an overly cloying, overly sweet way, but it's just straight up comfort and smoothness. And it's almost like everything that you want from a very smooth whiskey, but you don't tend to get because it tends to give you a bit of that extra punch. The rum just like, so good old El Dorado. I'm not a rum expert, but like I love it. But this is the high-ester blend. So it's them going off on a little tangent. And it's great. It's got that really rounded, very sweet Demerara start, but then it quickly falls away and you're hit with this high vaporous, makes you like, wow, this sort of saliva fizziness, tingliness on the back sides of my tongue, loads of flooding juiciness in my mouth. It's like making my whole mouth cascade with water. And the taste is getting a bit of cherry blossom. Some of that rubber. A little bit more bitters though. A little extra. I can taste the cask. I can, you know, I don't know how long or whatever it's been aged for. Aged 11 years in casks. So I don't know what kind of casks. Cognac. No, the copper still 4 release. So it says the Eldorado high-ester blend combines the La Bonne Intention, LBI. So they always do this in rum. They give like these letters. So this mark from the versatile Saval still with our exclusive high. People are obsessed with the different stills, right, in rum. I mean, I could go down this rabbit hole, but I try not to. Exclusive high-ester rum from our double retort copper pot still. So it's a pot still, not column stilled. This blend of never before released rums celebrates the depth and diversity of Demerara rum making, but it doesn't tell me what cask it's been aged in. But it just doesn't have the same level of "oh my lordy" as Rumfire. Great, love it. More of a sipping rum. And I love that I love the physical nature of this. The fact that it goes from this sweet and vaporous to this almost breaks down into this sudden like flood of sweet, slightly apricot-y, sweet apricot and nectar, apricot nectar kind of quality. The tannins of the wood are there. Gives it that bitter, which is lovely against the sweetness. You need that against the sweetness of the Demerara. But yeah, the Rumfire, it's just rude and rowdy. It's like, I feel like I'm in Jamaica, man. I feel like I'm somehow like at a bar and I've never been to Jamaica, so I'm just like properly like doing it an injustice. But I'm imagining that I'm at some downtown Kingston bar. It's a bit rough, it's a bit rowdy, it's hot, people are fucking dancing, just going for it. It's just like the vibes, man. The air is thick with weed, and like people are slinging the most amazing cocktails with this in it, and some people are just sipping it and just like drinking it, you know, like this. Well, they're probably not. They're probably all drinking cocktails because it's hot. You want the cocktail, right? Only in a cold country would you do this. And it just got that taste. I'm just transported. This transports me. This transports me as well. But that Rumfire is just necessary. You put this in a cocktail, just a little slug, don't need much, transforms and increases the alcohol content too. Anyway, yeah, not that I drink that much, but I do appreciate these little, I do appreciate the act of distillation and what it does. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I've never been somebody who turns to alcohol if I've got any issues, which is good. I'm glad that's the way that I am. Yeah. I was thinking about the problem gap recently. So like the idea that if you've got problems, everybody has like a happiness set point. So the famous happiness equation by Jonathan Haidt is H equals S plus C plus V. It's very simplified, but happiness equals your happiness set point, which is sort of like your level of how happy you naturally are. Are you more a person who tends to think the glass is half empty or half full, right? Your happiness set point, which is the most important factor in happiness. As always, it's always about your internal representation. So H equals S, set point, plus C, like circumstances, sure, makes a difference, plus V, like your voluntary actions, the things you do. And if you do things that make you feel good, like that are wholesome, then generally increases your happiness. So giving is a great way to get happiness, for example. So there's this happiness set point, but I always saw it as the opposite. I saw it as a problem gap. So this idea that everyone has like a problem gap, like that they always fill it. So even if you don't have that many problems relatively, they increase in size so they feel bigger, right? And then when you get more problems or bigger problems, those problems seem insignificant. You go, I wish I had a life where it was just those problems, right? And that's the problem gap. It's like, no matter what happens, as you get more problems or you solve some problems, but as the problems change, the feeling of having a problem doesn't change, because your problem gap is always a certain amount. They just have relative importance, so it becomes less of a problem if you've got more problems. But obviously, just like the happiness set point, it can stretch and it can hopefully shrink. So it can stretch, like if you're overwhelmed with more and more problems, like it can't contain it and it starts to become bigger and you feel more and more overwhelmed, like your problem gap gets bigger. And I think as you get older, that's something that happens, and it's very hard to get the elastic to go back. So once you've stretched that problem gap to be quite big, then like, even if you don't have so many problems, those problems feel much bigger. Yeah. And part of the act of getting older and wiser is learning how to try to bring your problem gap back down and hopefully even reduce it further, so that you don't see, so that with anything that comes your way, you are resilient and invincible, not because you beat it, but because it's always reframed as it's okay. And ultimately, you want to get to a point where you're using meditation or using, whatever tools you have to give full awareness to the idea that ultimately nothing really matters, right? Including your life. That you are the most important thing in the world for you, and that your life is the most majestic, miraculous. This is not about putting down your life. It's just the recognition that it is part of a bigger process, and that the majesty and magic of your life is possibly the fundamental reason for everything. But it still doesn't matter, right? Not in the, it doesn't matter, none of this matters, nihilistic, but it's like in the big scheme of things, in the game, in the isness of is. It's like, yes, you will die and things will move on, and that's okay. To rise above it, to not rise above it, to observe it, to have awareness of the biggest picture of them all, the isness, the biggest and the smallest picture of them all, the isness at large and the isness at its most fundamental. And that is the skill of trying to bring it down to that, because once you reach that point, then nothing is a problem, or even if they're minor irritations, like a little buzzing fly in the room, the problem gap. I don't know why I was thinking about that recently, because that's the training. Close that gap. Mind the gap.